and welcome back to our channel where we bring the grand tales of mythology to life. Today, we're diving back into the epic journey of Theseus as he finally reaches his destination, the majestic city of Athens. As the iconic red roofs of the palace came into view, Theseus knew his time of disguise was over.
He slipped into a quiet alley, shed the borrowed clothes from the kind Perigune, and dressed himself in the garments of a prince of Troezen.
At his waist hung the very sheath of the sword he carried on his quest, its blade broken but its spirit undead.
On his back, he bore the immense club of Periphet, a heavy testament to the trials he had overcome, and a symbol of the destiny that awaited him. Just then, the clatter of horse hooves echoed through the streets. A rider approached, and a familiar voice called out, "Theseus!" It was Hippothune, the young king of Eleusis, his face beaming. Theseus waved warmly as his friend dismounted, and they clasped hands in a firm, joyful embrace. "Theseus, the hero who ended the tyranny of Kerkion," Hippothune said, his voice filled with gratitude.
"It is thanks to you that I rule as king."
"I will never forget what you did for my city." Theseus smiled. "I'm just glad to see you holding your position, my friend." Eleusis is free again because of your leadership. But Hippothune's expression quickly turned grim. "The fight isn't over, Theseus."
Kerkin's sons deny my right to the throne.
They call me a king propped up by a stranger and are plotting to take power themselves. Theseus listened, his own face growing serious.
"If I can secure my position in Athens, I will send you aid. But for now, you must hold on." "There's no time for that," Hippothune whispered urgently. "I've just received word. Kerkion's sons are already in Athens, and their target is you. If you fall, they will paint themselves as heroes who avenged their father, and my claim to the throne of Eleusis will be lost forever." Theseus closed his eyes, processing the immediate danger. "Hippothune,"
He said in a low, determined voice, "I must enter the palace now."
"I will have to deal with MEDEA and Pallas. Can you and your soldiers watch my back? Keep Kerkion's sons at bay."
Hippothune didn't hesitate for a second. "I swear it."
"The soldiers of Eleusis will defend you." With his ally guarding the streets, Theseus ascended the grand stone steps of the palace. There, standing among the marble columns, was Pallas, his uncle, his eyes filled with a cold, piercing glint. "So, you've finally made it, Theseus," Pallas said, his voice deceptively calm. "I trust your journey was uneventful." Theseus met his gaze with a confident smile.
The warm welcome from the citizens of Athens made it quite pleasant.
"Thank you." The words were simple, but the air between them crackled with unspoken conflict.
With a sharp, squinting look, Pallas gestured toward the door, a silent, menacing invitation.
As Theseus stepped inside, he was met by a blinding ray of sunlight. Seated on a throne was King Aegeus, his father, and beside him,
the sorceress MEDEA. Aegeus's eyes lit up with surprise and admiration.
"You are Theseus of Troezen," he exclaimed, rising to his feet. "I have heard the tales of your heroic deeds on the road to Athens. As king, I thank you for bringing order and safety to our lands. You must join me for a meal and tell glory. Theseus bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, it is an honor. My actions were not for personal glory, but for the safety of all Greeks.
It is my duty as a citizen. Just then, Medea glided to their table, a goblet in her hand.
She offered Theseus a gentle, almost enchanting smile. I, too, admire your courage, Theseus. I feel we share a strange common ground. Theseus raised an eyebrow. Common ground? He asked. Yes, she purred.
We both deliver swift justice to those who do evil, and we are both wanderers far from our true homes.
We must both feel a deep longing for what we've lost. Theseus nodded, his expression sincere. You are right,
Medea, we do have that in common.
If we can work together to serve King Aegeus, Athens will surely prosper.
A strange light flashed in Medea's eyes.
Indeed, if we combine our strengths,
we could free Athens from the oppressive grip of Mycenae and the interference of Crete. We could make Athens the greatest city-state in all of Greece. Theseus's voice was firm with conviction. I agree completely. I have long believed that Athens should not be forced to pay tribute. The time to stand up to Mycenae's power is coming.
At these words, the atmosphere in the room shifted.
Pallas's face hardened into a mask of rage.
Without a word, he stood and stormed out of the room.
In the hallway, he grabbed a servant and gave a hurried, whispered order. Arm my sons and the sons of Kirkine. Bring them to the palace at once. The time is now! The servants scurried away to carry out the treacherous command. When Pallas returned to the table, Medea was smiling her enchanting smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes.
She lifted a goblet of rich red wine and presented it to Theseus.
A toast, she said smoothly, to your triumphant arrival in Athens, hero. Theseus accepted the goblet, his gaze flicking to King Aegeus, who was watching the scene with intense focus. Slowly, deliberately, Theseus raised the goblet. As he did, he drew his sword, the one with the broken blade but the unmistakable, unique hilt.
He held the sword aloft as he brought the cup to his lips.
In that instant, Aegeus's eyes flew wide with recognition. Wait! Stop! He cried out. The sword. It was his sword. Theseus immediately dropped the goblet.
As the red liquid spilled across the floor, a foul, acrid smoke began to rise, hissing as it ate into the stone.
The guests gasped and stumbled back in shock.
But two people remained perfectly still. Theseus and Medea. Their eyes locked across the room.
Medea's gaze was a storm of dark, furious fire.
Theseus's was as steady and unyielding as a mountain.
The silent battle between them had finally been declared, and the fate of Athens hung in the balance. What a cliffhanger! The plot is thickening, and the stage is set for an epic confrontation. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible mythological journey. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the thrilling conclusion to Theseus' arrival in Athens. We'll see you in the next video.